This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
You are what you watch. Hello, my name's Harry Tambuadco. Welcome to our program. As we prepare, or better yet, you have just watched the sauna, and there you are. You're sitting back and sitting with amazement, whichever way you want to look at it. This is actually a replay of the week before. Nevertheless, to make things all relevant, basically, what do we do? The president is asking that we all reform and we become part of that reformation. The problem is, in every country, we have seen this, in every country, every president, every leader asks this of its people. We know of this because we've read this in the news. And yet you and I sit back and we watch with amazement how people are getting shot left and right, and we say, wow, extrajudicial killing. My personal take on that, which is, well, it's just personal. I have to say that as a disclaimer. I don't really care much for drugs, druggies, drug pushers, drug lords, corrupt cops, and that whole caboodle. Very much like all those people that are fighting in many countries in the Middle East. I really don't care. As far as I'm concerned, they can eliminate each other. But then again, I'm somewhat of a bigot when it comes to that. I do enjoy straight peace. I do enjoy prosperity. And without peace, you can't have the other. Now, the problem is, how do we improve ourselves? How do we improve our systems? Now, in this show, we are going to talk about the justice system. What exactly is the justice system? As I've said before many times in this show, it only takes 200 years to resolve any case in this country. But how exactly does it work? What are the reforms we need to do? We are going to talk about this. We have Professor Rene Azurin with us. He's a policy consultant, both private and of government. You heard of him last week when he talked about reforms, or what we call the carbon credit vis-a-vis income tax. And then we have Attorney Severo Brillantes, who's been a guest in this show as well. He's a lawyer, he's a litigant, and he practices both on all counts, basically. So we're going to talk about the issues. Now, if you want to learn, and if you have some ideas, sit back and you can throw your ideas at us. You know, may iba lang dito, hindi gaya na social media. Kami lang magsasalita, ikaw nakikinig. In other words, this is dictatorial. We talk, you listen. Sorry, I had to say that. Rene, you wrote an article which sparked the topic of this program, and I wrote back and I told you, wow, we should talk about that on TV, because I had a lot of ideas, or I've been complaining about the justice system for so long. I asked Attorney Brillantes to sit with us, who apparently was part of the academe and the practicing lawyer, to give us a point of view from the practice and his experience. Your points, Rene, very quickly first, a summary.
Well, you mentioned extrajudicial killings. No? And
Pero yung extrajudicial yung patayan.
extrajudicial killings and the vigilante style of justice, no? Might seem to be a solution to the mind-numbing frustration Filipinos feel for the way our justice system works, or doesn't work, no? In this country. No? The problem is that resorting to this might destroy whatever little rule of law we still have. No?
Meron ba tayo?
Whatever little rule of law
Okay,
we
okay.
still have. No?
Okay.
Basically because, as you will notice, policemen seem to be shooting people whom they say or they claim are drug pushers. We don't really know, but they're nakachinelas lang, no? They have guns that look like paltiks, and yet the claim is lumabang, no? So it's a little, the stories are dubious to begin with, no? And the problem, this thing might tend
Escalate.
to escalate and snowball, and then a policeman can shoot anyone, say, plant a few packets of Shibu and say, he's a drug pusher or a drug user. And this can extend to the point wherein citizens will now want to get back, and those with guns would shoot policemen claiming that these were crooked cops or bad cops, etc. And you'll have basically our version, our 21st century version of the Wild Wild West. No? and this is the problem. So I think before it gets to that point, we should fix our justice system so that it actually works. No? And it doesn't work. No? Anyone who has had any contact with our justice system in this country knows it doesn't work.
Well, let's go to Attorney
okay.
Severo,
Yes.
Severo Brillantes, since he practices law. Okay, a rebuttal on that might be the better word.
First, an observation. You spoke that you do not care much
I really
about
don't.
what's happening. And I also observed that there is not much public outrage
Because we
over
don't
these
care about
killings.
druggies.
Now,
I'll
the
qualify
public
later.
outrage, I believe, and the very reason why President Prudente won is that there is a public perception, and in fact, there is a public outrage that we cannot obtain justice from our government, and we cannot obtain justice from our courts. That is why the people embraced the message of change of President Duterte. We had the EDSA revolution. People were expecting for social transformation, but sadly, instead of a revolution, we only had a restoration. We just restored the equally corrupt elitist politics of pre-martial law days. There was no significant change. The conditions of the people remain. And precisely, the victory of Duterte is a recognition that indeed the people no longer trusts the justice system. They no longer believe that they can obtain justice from our courts.
Is there justice from our courts,
Now,
Attorney?
most unfortunately, even the Philippine Judicial Academy recognizes that there is corruption in our courts. There is also a delay in the administration of justice. So people would already consider extreme measures like the death penalty. Personally, I believe that the death penalty is not the most effective deterrent to criminality, but a consistent, sweep, and strict enforcement of the law. And that is what we lack now. So there is...
Does the reform, does the justice system work? To you, in your mind? Practicing lawyer ka, I mean, profession mo yan.
yes.
Does it, in your mind, does it actually even work?
Well, I can
It only takes 200 years to resolve anything. Even the Sandigan Bayan, even the Supreme Court, hanggang namatay sila, wala pa rin. Ang kaso nila,
Yes.
kaya dumadami, humahaba, none of them refuse to, all of them seems, perception-wise, refuse to work and make any decisions. Ba't pa kaya naging husgado mga yan? Ayaw gumawa ng desisyon, takot. Ayaw gumawa ng... They don't want to write anything. They don't want to do anything. It takes... Alam mo, when you delay, di ba, obviously, lapitan mo ako para mabayaran mo na ako. It's in all the courts, all levels.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, ordinarily courts and judges should start their hearings 8:30. But I have experiences of judges regularly starting their hearings at 10:30.
I know, I've
Some
seen.
do not even would just call and they will not be coming.
But
Now,
I've
of
been to a
course.
court, baliktad naman. Yung sinabi 8:30, pagdating mo, walang second call. I mean, ano ba naman to? Nobody knows what's going on anymore. So in your mind, as a practicing lawyer, you agree with Rene then? What little justice we have left in a system.
I agree with Rene that I also do not approve of extrajudicial killings where a person where the policeman will be accuser, judge, and executioner at the same time. But I believe this is happening because of the frustration, the desperation of the people, to the failure of the justice system. For people not obtaining justice from our courts. So indeed, there is a need to reform the justice system so that, and I believe a more effective deterrent to criminality would be consistent, effective, strict, and swift enforcement of the law. If there is certainty of punishment, then that would prevent people from committing crimes.
Maybe I need to qualify myself here, Rene. I said I really don't care much for the extrajudicial killings ongoing right now, simply because it involves people in the system of drugs. I believe it's also the cops who are doing the murdering, and I believe that the druggies are also running away or probably shooting back. Either case, when they all fall down like chips, I really don't care much for them because para sa akin, low life to mga to eh. Yung mga police na ganyan, tsaka yung mga drug users. However, you are right. You are right. Extrajudicial outside the system or these people indiscriminately shooting people down may not be and is not a good idea because lalala at lalala yan. It cannot improve itself. But how else can we, as a country, rid ourselves of 80% of drugs that have, binitawan ng ilang gobyerno na eh. They didn't do very much about it. The penetration of drug use and abuse is what, 80% into all barangays at this point? I know, I see it. Public utility drivers, the guys on the street, maraming sabog dyan, kitang-kita mo eh. And it's irritating and it's turning into a narco state. Maybe we should blame our politicians, the mayors as well, the barangay captains, di ba? Lahat sila, damay sila eh. Negosyo kasi yan eh. But how else will you improve it if you don't shoot them in their heads? You already agree that the justice system doesn't work. If we don't eliminate these people, the drug proliferation will continue.
No,
Tundasin na natin.
No, I think the problem is that we are empowering the policeman to make these decisions. He can claim anyone is a drug pusher or user, and he can execute him. No? And I think that is very dangerous since the police force itself
It's corrupt.
is corrupt and dubious. No? So putting this kind of power in the hands of an organization, no, which whose integrity you doubt, no, is certainly not a good idea. No? At least I don't think it is. No? I think the solution would be to first clean up the police force or set up new units which will be elite types of units whose integrity will be unquestioned, and let them go after this drug.
140,000 strong. How do you replace 140,000 strong?
Well, set up a new elite units to specifically concentrate on drugs. No? But basically, my problem is the policeman is not trustworthy to begin with. So you're giving him, and he has a gun, no, the power to make these summary judgments, no, and summary killings. No?
But we are all rejoicing that these druggies are being
well,
terminated.
claimed to be druggies. No? I mean,
But they seem to be.
well, what about the policeman who killed them? I mean, the stories are dubious. No?
Agreed.
You know, he tried to grab the policeman's gun and then he got shot. I mean, the story is ridiculous, no? So that is my reservation, no? But I think long term, we need to fix the justice system because it's not only drugs which are a problem in this country, no?
We can't seem to fix the drug menace. We can't seem to correct the police. We can't seem to address the judiciary. What else is left? Wala na, walang choice. So we got a strong precedent. We bring him up there because of the singular promise of stopping drug addiction or narco state and crime. When you reduce the drug users and the drug pushers and whatnot, petty crime goes down automatically, which it has just in the last 15 days. Immediately, there's a direct relationship. But,
yeah, but
what do you do when it's...
No drug lords were killed.
Not yet.
They're all small time.
Yeah, correct. Not yet. It's getting there. Considering the president has just sat down while there seems to be a cleansing ongoing within the police. It's just too bad the users and the people who actually pass the drugs around or who make money are also part of those being felled. But it seems wala na tayong solution ng iba. We can't run to the courts. The courts don't work. It only takes 100, 200 years. The system does not work. Alam mo, criminal is okay, at least tinanggal ni Justice Rene yung fees, di ba? When you sue somebody, you have a complaint for crime, at least wala nang ngayon cost. Ngayon, you try to go after, be it a civil case or intellectual property or ninakawang ka, civil cases. You have to put the money out. And the money is 10% of what you're going after. So, many, iniiwanan na lang. Wag na lang, parang ganon. It's too ridiculous. And then it takes 20, 30, 50 years. I mean, the courts don't work. What do we do? So maybe...
No, let us fix the justice system as it is. No? The justice system consists of law enforcement, the judiciary, and the prison system, the rehabilitation and corrective system. No? And we can exert efforts to fix these first, no? While going after the drug criminals, etc., etc. No? For example, the law enforcement, no? Many lawyers that I've talked to, no, I don't know if you will validate this, Attorney Brillantes, no? But say that the investigative skills of the policemen are virtually non-existent. No? They're not well trained. They don't know how to handle evidence. They mishandle evidence. They don't know how to handle DNA evidence. They misplace evidence. So
they contaminate evidence.
Yeah. So the crime-solving abilities of the policemen need to be addressed, no? And this need to be addressed by a more stringent selection of these people, better training, better laboratory facilities, etc., etc. No? But this can be done. No? This will not be a short process, but this should be started. I mean, if you aim to fix the justice system, and I've argued for a long time that this is the first thing we need to fix, no? so that the rest of the things wrong with this country can be corrected. No?
You are still optimistic that we can actually address the justice system and correct all those three pillars of the justice system.
Well, I think we have to. It's a smaller system, no? And it is the key to correcting other things. For example, you mentioned 200 years. The Ampatuan massacre
is on its sixth.
Is on its seventh year.
Seventh year.
No? And
obvious.
And they're hearing cases at a leisurely 2 hearings a week. No, I mean, it's ridiculous. No?
Yes.
Look at the DAP PDAF scam. No? so many scores of congressmen were accused, no, for stealing hundreds of millions of pesos, no, in
Nothing's
bogus.
happening, yeah.
Nothing is happening. No, I mean, they charged 3 senators, and then wala na. Everybody, no one is in jail except Estrada and Revilla, no.
Well, they're in detention. We can't even call that jail.
Okay, but no one else is, no, and that's been 3 years already, no. So you pointed it out correctly. The pace is glacial, so to speak, no. But there have been proposals to correct this, no. The Action Program for Judicial Reform started by Davide, no, also mentioned by Puno, and then later Carpio, no. There are programs, except that it doesn't happen, no. They've addressed it, they've identified the problems: case congestion, politicization of judicial appointments, non-independence of judiciary, lack of budget deficiencies, lack of better systems, etc. All these can be done if the will to do it is there, no? And what I'm saying is that we must have a will to do it, because we cannot fix the other things without fixing this, no? So let us, if President Duterte is serious, let's go after the drug lords, etc. But exert efforts to get this ball started. The identification of the problem and the way to correct it, better systems, budget, etc., is already there. It just needs the political will to go ahead and do it.
Okay, we're going to have to take a short break. What's happened here is we're spilling the beans based and criticizing a system that seemed to have no respite or no reform in place. But what will happen is when we come back, let's talk about reform. What needs to be reformed, how to go about it. Let's look at the other side of the glass that's more full, if it can even be done. Yes, to a certain extent, we are a broken country at this point with that not in place. And until you do fix the justice system, we really have nothing to go on. So we'll be right back. Stay with us.